next we have commissioners, although I don't want to be farmer or commissioner, you can say how
I can
you're
be both.
speaking. Franklin White, thank you.
I can be both. Well, I mean, I don't know how much to follow up behind Larry on that. I mean, he's got the facts and figures. As a commissioner, I can tell you we listen to our constituents, and that's why we issued a letter that we were not for this. So your commissioners have all unanimously, and we put out a letter to that effect, signed by all of us. So you're being represented in that fact as far as the commissioner goes. I'm also a farmer. I own a nursery in McAlpin, and I pump a lot of water every day. I just do. That's what it takes to do it. The difference between a lot of what I do and what a lot of other people do is when I pump that water out of the ground, I pump it into some plants. It goes through those plants. The plant keeps a little bit, the rest goes back and recharges the aquifer. So there's a big difference in a lot of what farming does here that's not, I don't know how you calculate that, but I'm with Larry. I think desalination is going to be the answer for a lot of this. I don't see running a pipe that far. I can't see why you would ever want to do that. But I mean, I'll be glad to take questions from you. I don't know what else to say. I'm on your side. So
Why can't we do desalination?
where are you going to get the water?
We're not on the ocean.
Get it from the Gulf?
I mean, good, but your pipe isn't that far too.
Yeah.
It's a money. It becomes a money issue. I mean, and when you got an ocean sitting in your back door, and like
Well, I
Larry said,
agree on that.
you know,
I'm just saying.
let them desalinate. We had a fresh water supply already.
Mhm.
You know, we're not
That they're taking.
the problem. So,
They're overtaxing that aquifer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Franklin, would you agree that with them bringing that pipe over here, when they're taking that amount of water out of the aquifer over there, and they're wanting to put in 40 million gallons a day after taking, what was it, 352 or whatever it was, would you just consider that kicking the can down the road? Because you're still a negative 310 million gallons a day with what they're offering here, and we can't really take a chance. This is our kids, this is our grandkids, this is our game, our fish, our like all of our plants and animals, and we can't take a chance on them contaminating our water. Once it's there, it's there forever.
And I agree. I mean, I feel the same way you do. I live here too. I was born and raised here. I drink my water out of the ground just like the rest of you do. And so I'm not gonna sit here and be for something that I don't want at my own house. So I'm not there. What I am for is a conversation. I mean, if you can go on the news and you can look, and it's not just here in Florida. I mean, it's from here to Arizona. You got water issues, big water issues. And the only place you're gonna get that water is out of the ocean at that point. I mean, it's just a fact, and the more these other states or whatever, they do their laws and the people move out of those states and they flood into Florida, well, you just exacerbate that problem by a lot. Yes, sir.
It might be a concern more than a question that if all this stuff with get rid of property taxes and all the money ends up in Tallahassee, do we kind of get left behind because the big population centers are going to get all the attention from the lawmakers over there and nothing's going to happen to us?
Well, yeah,
Or
I don't
at least
know.
nothing good.
I don't know how that's ever gonna work. I'll just say it that way. I mean, that's a complicated issue to say we're just gonna do away with property taxes and somehow Tallahassee's gonna reimburse the county to run their county. I don't see that happening. I see a raise in the exemption, maybe the homestead exemption to offset the rise in, property values is kind of what I see. That's just me. But I don't know how that ends. I don't.
Yeah, I just worry that little places like here get left in the dust because Miami and Jacksonville and Tampa and those areas will eat up all of the resources.
And that's what's happening. I mean, it's a fact. Yes, ma'am.
Overdevelopment, would you say that is a big cause of our aquifer not being able to recharge properly like it's supposed to?
Well, I mean, you got all kinds of. I'm not a scientist, ma'am. I'm just your elected guy to be your voice, and that's what I try to be. But common sense, you would think, yes, that's the issue, but there could be a lot that plays into that. I mean, you know, droughts play into that. I mean, too many people play into that. And, you know, that's another thing that bothers me is when they start talking about that in a big city and pumping it over here, and I get what they're trying to do. I understand the common sense thing on it, but, you know, we're zoned 1 to 5 acres here. It's one household, for the most part, in this county is one household per 5 acres. So, unless somebody comes along and makes some draconian zoning changes, it's not gonna change here. I mean, you know, yeah, you're gonna add people and they bust up land and you bust it up to 5 acre lots.
Right.
But once you get to all 5 acre lots, I don't know what else you do. 'Cause
Well, I
there's
don't
no
think
more.
here is necessarily the problem, it's places like Jacksonville.
It's all
where
your,
they just
it's
keep
all your big
building
cities.
and building.
It's just math.
And then there's the data centers, why don't they use the reclaimed water for the data centers?
A lot of the data
You can use
centers,
it for fertilizer.
a lot of data centers are using a closed loop system now, which means they're not just pumping water in and pumping water out, they're circulating that water. And they are using reuse water.
Okay, for the fertilizer too, because I mean, it's nitrogen rich and phosphorus rich, it's very, not leafy crops, but for.
Well, I can
certain
tell you, the
crops,
county's
it's
putting in a brand new water treatment plant out here at the Catalyst site. And we had to comply with the new laws on how much nitrogen, phosphate, all the things that can come out the backside of that water plant. Well, let me tell you something. That water plant's $21 million just for that treatment plant, for that to go here. And so, I don't know, I'm not a water guy, but I would be interested to test what comes out the backside of that new sewer plant versus what we're drinking out of the ground today. I mean, I would just like to see that. Just curious about that. So. But I can tell you, we are put to a lot stiffer standard in this region right here with a sewer plant than most people are. Yes, sir.
It kind of sounds like you're the same mind as most of us here. Mr. Sessions indicated that he wasn't an organizer. Is there any kind of game plan that you can help us out with, letter writing or
Well, I
what do
mean,
you call the signature pages?
I think most of the county commissions in the area have put out a letter and sent it to the water management districts expressing our views on that, and they were against it. So, other than calling your congressman and staying in touch with your congressman, or, you know, and having these meetings like you're having and saying what you know, what you think, I mean, I don't know how else to do it. Other than if you wanna just go march on Tallahassee, I don't know how else you do that.
Well, as commissioners, have you guys had voice
We talk to our.
with our legislators?
Yes, all the time.
And what do they say?
I don't have a good answer for you on that.
It's not a done deal.
I don't know where they're at with it, to be honest with you, I don't. I just know that pretty much all the county commissioners and all the counties surrounding here has put out a letter and put our piece out on it that we don't want.
So how do they move forward with something like this if all of our commissioners and everybody's coming together? Because I have seen a lot of the counties around here that have come out and said, no, we're not interested. Even small towns like Branford have come out and said, no, thank you.
Well, that
So
water
how
runs
can
under all
they
of
push
us.
this through if we're so adamant about not having it? Especially if we're all unified like we are. And I mean, I see that this group is
Commissioner on Channel 6 News saying that they're against this water being brought to Jacksonville. So you're not doing all you could be doing for us people living here. Or you'd be on the news saying you're against this. You're a county commissioner.
I'm right here telling you I'm against it.
That's the news right there.
News is right here.
I done talked to her, she's got my opinion.
If I'm on the news, I didn't even know I was on the news, but.
Stars forward.
Yes, sir.
So, I had a couple questions for you. The first one is, you were saying earlier that we're not pulling the trigger and we're not, nobody in this room, I think, is for this at all. So, where are the people who are for this, other than Tallahassee? How do we get to them? How do we talk to them, other than calling our congressman?
Yeah, hunting season's coming up soon.
And then, at the same time, I want to piggyback off something Mr. Larry said, and now that I know we're on the news, it's a good time to say it. But he said that desalination to these big cities, oh, it's too expensive. It's to this, to that, whatever. It's gonna cost us too much money that we can't rake off the top back in our own pockets. I'll tell you what's expensive. My 1.5-year-old baby is expensive.
Come on.
Our way of life is expensive. I grew up here. I grew up on these rivers, grew up on these farms.
So did I.
I know.
Been here the whole time.
That's our way of life. I spent every summer of my life, 31 years, every summer of my life on these rivers,
But look,
on these lakes.
I'm not for it. I'm on your side, and I listen to the people I represent, and when they tell me they don't want it, well, that's where we're at.
Is this water supposed to be pumped into a reservoir, or is it?
I have no, they've been, I don't think they really even know what it's just, they're into figuring it out phase right now.
This
is
is
what
the
I-
start of the process.
Yes.
Would a petition delivered to you have any traction in Tallahassee?
I mean, I'm not sure, but I mean, if you wanna get one, I'll take it.
There's one on there. I saw it on that screen earlier, and I've been posting
There's
on
a petition.
But, you know, we got a water issue, you know, we do. And it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. And I don't know how you fix it other than desalination and where they can desalinate, you know. And like as my nursery, I do all I can to conserve water. I put moisture sensor probes, we use time clocks, we use time release fertilizer. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do as farmers to try to mitigate some of the water that we're taking out of the ground, you know. It costs money to pump that water, and trust me, it's expensive, and you don't wanna pump any more than you have to pump to grow the crop you're trying to grow, and that's what we do.
Mr. White,
Yes, ma'am.
how do we get more people, I mean, we're a small county, 23,000 people, and we don't have as big a voice as 1 million plus in Jacksonville. We have a governor who's on his last, I don't wanna call him a lame duck, but that's kinda where we're at. How do we get him to flip the switch and say desalination is there? Because ultimately, power trickles up. He's the final say in all of it. How do we do that? I mean, I've contacted him, I've contacted his people, I've contacted the EPA, I've contacted everyone, but our little 23,000 voice is not being heard.
It just got amplified right over there.
Amen, brother,
Come
come
on.
on, y'all.
If anybody went to this meeting last month, a lot of people were discouraged. We were told that this was supposed to be important, that we were supposed to be there, that our voice was gonna be heard, and our voices weren't heard, their voices were. That's all it was, and looking around tonight after being at that meeting and seeing how many people showed up here, I think a lot of people got discouraged.
Yep.
And we've gotta tell people that we're not giving up. And like somebody said, there's a lot of misinformation. People think that this is a done deal, and it's not.
Well,
I don't think it's.
small counties vote, and if you wanna be president, you should probably listen to us.
But they're discouraging us by saying
I
it's a
didn't-
done deal, and I said, we're gonna go over and fight anyway.
Yes, sir.
Hey, could we talk about how the petition process can work? I think you have a Riverkeepers, I think, has got
Well,
some started.
He has the floor.
We're all, like you said, this train is moving down the
Hey, I
track,
don't
all we're
know.
doing is holding the rope, trying to stop it from moving, and we're not gonna be able to do that.
I'm gonna speak last after, you know.
You can get out of
So
the
I'd be
mic.
happy to talk about it then, I don't want to cut it on his time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why is Jacksonville being shut off from dumping their water into the St. John River?
I can't answer that.
That's
I think that's a
Pollution.
That's ex-Senator Rob Brantley, or Rob Bradley, which is his wife is the senator over there.
Well, I think DEP had a lot to do with that.
But
Well, it's a law passed.
he's the chair.
A
of the
Florida
St.
law
John
was
River.
passed in 2014 prohibiting discharge that is not for beneficial use. So this whole project is a response to the law from 2014.
By
that-
2032.
that
Set here for.
Senator Ben Aldrin was the sponsor of that law.
If it's not good enough for over there, how the hell is it good enough for over here?
They're gonna say it's because of the flows, and for some reason, they think that piping it over here is gonna help the flow
The
instead of
contaminants will be left
stopping
over
to
here
take-
and they'll get the cream off the top.
Yep, yep.
But
And we can't be stupid enough to go along with this garbage.
all I can say is you just keep doing what you're doing, you know, and I'm a voice for that too, so. Right now, everybody's looking at you on TV, so they hear you too.
I say something real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, I'm in the group. I'm gonna tell y'all something.
Stand up, because most of us can't hear anything.
There
you're
is
saying.
no Republicans, there's no Democrats, and there's no independents anywhere in this area that want this. And we need to put our differences aside and become united as one if we're gonna stop it, because as
Come on.
long as we stay divided, we are not gonna change anything.
If y'all don't have anything further for me, you know I'm on your side, the commission's on your side, and that's how it is.
Thank you. We haven't felt that way.
The next speaker is